We were thinking, we just briefly talked about what we are going to talk about. And we are not talking about your work here because everyone can see it. And what is more interesting, looking a little bit into your biography, where more precisely, where do you live and why? You are originally from Belgium, but now you live in Greece.
Well, yeah, moving a bit between New York, where I still teach. I teach also in Belgium, and then most of the part we're actually living on the island of Andros.
Where is it exactly?
It's in the Cycladic Islands, 2 hours from the port of Rafina, which is close to Athens and the airport. It's 2 hours with the boat. So.
And it's a community college?
No. Well, there's a lot of stuff happening, and it's just starting and falling into place. But we started like 2 years ago with a permaculture workshop. With a permaculture workshop, which is a gardening workshop, but it's more than gardening because it's also community building. And so these are a couple of people we actually didn't know because they all got together through this sort of community garden project. People from Athens that sort of were fed up with the situation, simply cannot survive, and then they heard their great-grandfather had a plot of land. They went to look at it and then decided to build a mud house, had a solar panel, and just stayed on the island. And so these sort of people, we got together where we sort of share not only tools but ways of sort of building out something that is sort of quasi a transition group, community garden.
That means this is an island which probably used to shrink, and now it's growing again because of the political and financial crisis. Does that mean it's a positive side effect of it?
Well, I think there's always, like Rebecca Solnit writes in her book Paradise Built in Hell, that in most extreme disaster, we're a brother's keeper or sister's keeper, and that actually community comes about often in times of disaster, in catastrophe, that actually people get closer to one another to overcome disaster, and that little utopias can come about right in the middle of disaster. Like when the earthquake in 1906, she starts the book with that. She starts also with the Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, how actually community building automatically, spontaneously happened. It's not always what's written in the newspaper that when the army moves in, that is sort of the worst of humanity has been shown. It's the contrary. And during the earthquake of 1906 in San Francisco, she describes how spontaneous community kitchens came about in for example, a bakery, was completely damaged, and then the baker was giving his bread for free out to the community to help the community. A woman was starting a kitchen in the middle of the park, and you see how community comes about in the middle of disaster. So it's a little bit like that, and anyway, this is still pretty early, and it's sort of a way of it's an experiment. It's an experiment as part of also of the practice of being a filmmaker to also sort of live in a situation that sort of it's a living thinking experiment.
How many people live there, or how many people are participating in this, or how many people live from this community project?
It's all it's very hybrid, because even me, I'm on and off, but some people just decided, like last week we had a dinner 2 days ago, we had a dinner with sort of 10 people. 4 of them just decided last week to move to the island to live there. And it's simple things like a chicken coop, you share your eggs. It's like very simple things, but it's growing, and it's sort of like, also the last film, for a big part, we dragged the editing, the post-production group to the island, and we edited there as a little bit of a community, lived a bit from what we're growing in the garden and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe I should backtrack a little bit about the last 5 years. I've been so involved with a film about the corruption in the global arms trade, where everything is about privatization, where tax money is being stolen. And I think it's like plugging it back to the theme of the exhibition, how can we live together, is that that word together is so crucial to redefine, because we live in this era of crisis of privatization of everything, privatization of the very building blocks of life and DNA that are being appropriated by big companies like Monsanto, and now they're merging with, for example, with Bayer, where very soon there's going to be 3 big conglomerates, ChemChina with Syngenta, Bayer with Monsanto, who are going to own 70% of all the seeds in the world. And I think, for example, it's so crucial to start local seed banks, for example. Just simple like local tomatoes, which are hard to find, or local garlic. It's so crucial to sort of keep that sustaining in a way where it's not about that privatization, but more about community building. Of course, it's important to sort of be sustainable, but more important and crucial is to rethink what community is. I think Rebecca Solnit writes about that also in Paradise Built in Hell, is that it's not only the privatization of our the water, the air, our seeds, basically a lot of stuff that has been privatized, but it's also the privatization of our imagination, of our political imagination. And I think the title is so crucial, this question, how to live together, because
it's not a question, it's a statement.
How to live together.
There's no question mark.
I didn't see the question mark. I made it into a question.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a question, because if you say together, what is that together?
Yeah, no, I'm wondering what it is. I don't know. And it's indeed very, it's crucial, but very complicated. How do we live together? So can we, you as an artist, do you think, can we engage in daily politics? Can we change politics? Can we, can we change democracy?
Yeah, I think, as humans, we're actually storytelling animals. I think, in essence, we're storytellers. And I think an artist, choosing to be an artist and telling your own story and sharing it is already a political act. I think it's so crucial to rethink our imagination. First of all, that's so crucial. But also, in a sense, even in the little interview with Michael Hart, he says, politics, first of all, is education. It's awareness. It's talking about things. It's changing and reclaiming the story. Also the story and the imagination that has been privatized. And I think it's so crucial, not only the imagination, but also trauma. We all live in a world that is sort of in a dire situation. We all traumatized by the state of the world. And I think trauma shouldn't be privatized. We should share trauma together as well. Even that should be together or whatever. But
yeah, is there a common trauma, you think?
Well, we share this world together, and this world is in a very dire situation. And I think we share all that, and I think we share that together. We live on this world together. So it's not only about politics, it's also like, how can we think about this we together in our biotope that is sort of, there's huge questions there on every level. Nature, seas, climate, etc., water.
What happened with Athens? A little bit change of subject, but you know it's from Jeva Neho's film. Okay. Change of subject, talking about Documenta in Athens. How have you? Because you have been part of 2 other Documentas, I think, no? But not this one. How do you see this? Is this also a kind of privatization from going to Athens from?
Yeah. Well, the Documenta 14 in Athens is many things. I was part with Paul Delicado as part of the discussion groups. I think it was the political body or something. We were part of that, and we showed the most recent film, Shadow World, which is both works here, Kissodrome and Michael Hart, were actually part or came about through 5 years working through these themes of corruption in the global arms trade. And so there was a 3-day session with a public program talking about the situation with the refugees, which a lot of them are Syrian, also Iraqis and Afghanis, but also having this film shown and opening this discussion. It was a very long discussion because we showed only 2 fragments. We kept on talking. It was a very fierce discussion about what's going on with the situation in Syria, which first of all is a problem of the defense industries who are perpetuating war. Maybe we don't have to get into that, but I thought it was interesting that dialogue that was happening leading up to the Documenta is one part. The Documenta itself is another thing, and how the Athenians and the Greek people or the Greek artists are actually looking towards like what is this thing learning from Athens. They thought it was very patronizing, but on the other hand, it's quite interesting to open up this whole castle thing and devoting a big part of the budget to Athens. So it's a hybrid thing. There's many comments about the Documenta and what is this all about, but the fact that it's also this political or this dialogues, the public debates are sort of quite interesting.
About it. Johan, fantastic, thank you very much.